All right, welcome back, bastards, brigands, sirens, and scoundrels, and of course, scruffy-looking nerf herders. I am the Brigand Bob, and today we are going to talk about my first ever handgun build. So this is a PSA Dagger lower, and it is a Strike Industries Lite slide. We've got an LP2 barrel, and we have a primary arms SLX PS10 red dot, which is the first red dot or pistol red dot offering, rather handgun red dot offering from Primary Arms. They've done some collaborations with Holosun before, but this is the first time that they've gone out and made their own pistol red dot. So we're going to be running that today. These are my first shots through this gun since building it. I did order this PSA Dagger lower as a complete lower, and so I did take it apart and then reassemble it so that I could paint it and whatnot, but it feels shockingly good in the hand, so I didn't stipple it because it's actually surprisingly comfortable. The trigger, I don't hate it, I don't love it, I'm just kind of indifferent about it, but we're going to actually run shots through it and see how it runs now that it's built and it's complete. Originally this started out as a P80 project, which I kind of messed up, so I wound up just purchasing this PSA Dagger complete lower, complete with all of the parts in it already, for only 99 bucks, which was just a steal. For being a complete lower, it's hard to beat for 99 bucks. So we're going to go ahead and see how this runs today. All right, I have two reduced size IPSC targets behind me. They are 12 by 18. I like the reduced size because it just helps aim small, miss small. So if that's what I'm training to hit, then man-sized targets should be relatively easy. So we're going to go ahead and get these first shots on target and see how it runs. All right, already I like it. Oh, failure to go into battery. All right, I'm not getting a trigger reset. That's not good. Or nope, failure to go into battery again. Don't know if that was a light primer strike or a bad primer, because this box of Winchesters had problems with primers, so we'll find out in a minute. Okay. Well, I gotta say, it holds groups pretty well. Let's find out if that was a bad primer real quick, or if that was a light primer strike. Well, the primer definitely hit it, or the firing pin definitely hit the primer, so let's go ahead and see if we can't. All right, so that was the that was a light primer strike. Not a bad primer. At least there's that. Sweet. Let's go ahead and check out the target. And that looks pretty good. So go ahead and keep shooting. right. More malfunctions than I would like. Two light primer strikes. I don't know if that's this ammo or if it's the gun. Oh, slide just locked back when it shouldn't have. That's supposed to be slide locked back. All right. All right, let's go ahead and try running this from concealment and see, and just do a full mag dump on this target on the left here. All right. All right, guys, we're back in the studio, and we're going to kind of go ahead and go over what we saw at the range, what went right, what went wrong, and what I need to do to probably address some of the issues that we found at the range. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and go over just the parts in this gun. So this is a PSA Dagger complete lower, serialized, was transferred to my FFL, filled out all the paperwork for it. You know how it goes. These are all of the parts that came in this lower. There is nothing that's been replaced in it yet, so this is the complete factory build from PSA. And this is all I got. I just got the lower complete with all the parts already installed on it. It has the PSA Dagger trigger, which reminds me a lot of the Smith & Wesson M&P series triggers before they switched to their new trigger. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's not the worst trigger in the entire world, but it's not awesome. And it's also very, very sticky. The spring on it is way too weak, in my opinion. So I did go ahead and order some 6-pound springs to swap out. And I'm probably just going to go ahead and swap out the trigger as well for a flat face trigger that's more of a traditional striker fire type trigger with the dingus safety on it. So I will be doing that. I already ordered the 6-pound springs. I just ordered a 3-pack of them, and I'll be swapping that out in the trigger assembly and swapping the trigger out. Now I did have fitment issues, or it's just very, it doesn't lock up very tightly or neatly. And I'm assuming that that's because everything here is just kind of aftermarket. You've got an aftermarket lower, and you've got an aftermarket slide and barrel and upper parts in that slide and barrel. So for the slide, we have the Strike Industries Lite slide. And I like it. I love the milling on it. I love the way it looks. I think it's very sharp. I can't remember the parts kit that I got for it, but I can tell you that the parts kit was not a Lite, or not a Strike Industries upper parts kit. So one of the issues we had was just a lot of light primer strikes, and that was not the ammo, that was the gun. And so I'm going to swap out these upper parts with a Strike Industries upper parts completion kit. Since it's a Strike Industries slide, it makes sense that Strike Industries upper parts kit would be a better fit for it. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So the barrel I have here is an L2D Combat Systems barrel. Nothing special about it. I mean, it looks pretty sharp, and I can't really say I have a ton of problems with the barrel. I mean, it seems to mate up nicely with the gun. It's not a crown barrel, which would be nice. I would like it better if it was a crown barrel, but whatever, potato. And like I said, I can't remember the upper parts kit that I got, but what I will say is that this recoil spring is too weak for my liking also. I think if it was a little bit stronger, I think the gun would have a few less issues and would be a little bit more tight in its fitment when it's all assembled. So. And So not thrilled about that. As you can see, it can be kind of a pain in the ass to like get it to fit together, but I've got a strike slide with a Palmetto State lower. So who's to say if I had a Palmetto State slide that it wouldn't fit up better and be a better fit and whatnot. So we'll see. Now this trigger isn't terrible, but it's not great. I don't love it. And as you can see, there's some movement in the gun when the trigger drops, and you see how it has a bit of an issue there. It likes to stick right there. That's not awesome either. So when we pull the trigger, watch the gun, see how the barrel moves. That's not awesome. So I'm thinking a stronger recoil spring and a different trigger is going to help fix that particular issue, but we'll see. I do have an agency arms trigger on the way as well, so we'll be giving that agency arms drop-in trigger a try. And I expect that that's going to solve probably this issue that you see right here, where it doesn't like to go back into battery completely. I think the spring and the drop-in trigger will solve that. I think this is right here. I think it's the trigger spring. I think that's exactly what's causing that. That and the very weak recoil spring. So I'm going to get a different recoil. I'm going to get a set of recoil springs actually of different strengths from Strike Industries, and I'm also going to get a Strike Industries upper parts completion kit and swap out the upper parts kit in the slide, and I'm going to swap out the trigger spring and just the trigger arm bar and trigger itself, and see if that helps us with some issues. I'm also hoping that the Strike Industries upper parts completion kit is going to solve the extraction issue. I felt like the extractor was weak. I had one failure to extract, and though it was only one failure to extract, man, it failed to extract. I had to lock the slide back, drop the magazine, and pretty much dump the round out, because no matter how many times I cycled the slide, it would just not pull that spent shell casing out, which was a problem. So that was just a myriad of issues I had the first time shooting this gun, but at the same time, it's a learning experience, and this is the first time that I've ever built a handgun before. And much like my experiences with building my first ARs, there's just a lot of things that you have to learn the hard way, but I feel like those are positive experiences because you learn a lot about the weapon system, how it functions, how it works, and what to do and what not to do during that process. You don't learn a lot by just nailing everything on your first time out, but you do learn a lot from errors and mistakes and having problems and issues that you have to troubleshoot and work through. And so I feel like those are valuable experiences and make it worth it. So we're going to go ahead and do another video once I get all of the parts in and swap things around and see if this performs a little bit better for us. Before we go ahead and wrap everything up, I will talk about the optic a little bit. This is a Primary Arms SLX RS10, or is it PS10? Optic from Primary Arms. It's a 2 MOA red dot. I love the way the red dot looks. It's very crisp, it's very clean, and when I was mag dumping, I did not lose sight of the red dot at all at any point in time. So as fast as I could pull that trigger and just kind of drop rounds, yes, was it hopping? You know, yeah, it was hopping, but I was able to see the red dot and keep a sight picture the entire time, which I thought was pretty good. This is the first handgun optic that I've ever run, so I can't say that I've got a ton of experience with other optics with which to compare my experience with this optic. It is a Dr. footprint, but the good thing about the Strike Industries Lite slide is that it comes with, what's the word I want to use? A modular system and an adaptive system. So you can really drop any optic with any footprint into the Strike Industries Lite slide. It's got all the holes milled, and then it has posts that you can drop into the holes to match whatever footprint of whatever optic you have. And so I just had to drop the posts into the holes for the Docker footprint, put it on there, screw it in, and I was good to go. And it's solid. It's not. It has not been loose or anything like that. So I really have to give it to Strike for building a modular system that doesn't suck, because there are modular systems out there that are not awesome. I think Strike really nailed it with this modular system, milling the holes and having different posts of different size for the different holes so that you can go ahead and match up the footprint that you have, set it on there, and then screw it into place. And it stays in place really well. And it rides pretty low to the gun, which is also very positive. I was trying to think. Yeah, I did not have any issues with this red dot. I did like it quite a bit. So all the issues I had were with the gun itself. I don't think that it's really a knock on the Dagger. I think the Dagger is a great lower, pre-built for 99 bucks. It's going to be hard to beat. So 99 bucks for a complete lower with all the parts in it, you are going to be hard pressed to beat that. That is a fantastic deal, and it doesn't suck. They do use roll pins instead of your typical pins that you find in Glock lowers, but oh well. It's not that big of a deal. They do the exact same job. The magazine release is, I wouldn't say extended, but it's very easy to actuate. It sticks out. You can really get a good handle on it. The slide lock is just fine. Don't have any problems with that. So yeah, I think Palmetto State did a pretty good job. The only complaint I have on the Dagger, honestly, is the trigger, which I feel like is not awesome, and I feel like the trigger spring is too weak, and it causes some stickiness here when the trigger moves. It just kind of rubs up against the trigger housing and doesn't really spring back like it should, and I think that's what causes these issues with the weapon going into battery. As you'll see, you get these issues with it just not going back into battery. If that spring was stronger, I feel like that would solve it. But that could also be that the recoil spring is just too weak. So a stronger recoil spring would probably help with that as well. Stronger recoil spring's probably actually going to help the gun shoot a little bit flatter too. So there's that. So I've got some work to do on this before I feel it's carry ready. It needs to cycle at least 200 rounds without having a malfunction before I feel comfortable carrying it. Is it a safe gun? Yeah, I feel like it's perfectly safe. It didn't have any misfires or anything. I like smacked the back of it trying to get the striker to trip, and it doesn't. So I mean, as far as the typical safety of a striker fire pistol goes, it's what you would expect. It's just the other issues that I had. Light primer strikes, failure to extract. Those were primarily it. A note on the light primer strikes, notice that where the primer did strike, or where the striker face or pin, the firing pin hit the primer, it was not in the center of the primer, but it was offset. And that is a bit of an issue as well. So again, I'm hoping that that will be solved with the Strike Industries upper completion kit, since I would imagine that everything would be machined and milled to fit in the other products that they make, like their slide. So if I go with a upper completion kit that is made by the same company as the slide, I'm probably going to have better results, which is what I should have done in the first place. So again, lessons learned. I feel like those are more valuable than just nailing it straight out of the gate. I've learned a lot about striker fire systems and the platform itself, Glock disassembly and reassembly, how it all works. And honestly, I think it's pretty cool to have learned all of that, because before I didn't know. And after you build it, a lot of the mystery is gone, and you feel a lot more comfortable. There's no real intimidation on taking these things apart and putting them back together after that, because you realize how simple and easy it is. So, guys, that is it for today. I appreciate you joining me and going over this PSA Dagger Frankengun build that I did. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below. If there's something else that you'd like to see, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below as well. Go ahead and give me a like and subscribe if you like this video, or go ahead and smash dislike if you think I'm a putz. As always, guys, remember to be kind, be compassionate, be empathetic, but still remember to be dangerous. And I'll see you next time.